A single cheap candle puts out around 80 British thermal units. That is enough to raise the temperature inside a small shelter fast. Enough to dry a wet pair of wool socks before the sun even rises. Enough to keep your fingers from going numb at -10 degrees. Modern campers spend $200 on small propane heaters. They burn through fuel canisters that cost $6 every night. But there is a $3 wax candle sitting in every grocery store. A candle old woodsmen carried in tin cans deep inside their shelters. A candle that turned a frozen lean-to into a survivable warm room. The survival industry knows about this, the big gear brands know, and they buried it under glossy ads for expensive winter equipment. This is the story of the tin can candle and the lives it has saved. Welcome to Silent Hunt Society, where buried knowledge lives on. If forgotten survival methods matter, hit subscribe and the bell now. This is where we dig up what the modern outdoor world tried to bury. Now let me take you back to the deep winter of 1934. A trapper named Walter Briggs ran his line through northern Minnesota. He carried a small flat tin can with 3 short paraffin candles. On the coldest nights, he set the can inside his canvas wedge tent. He lit one candle, then a second, then a third as wind picked up. The air inside the small canvas shelter rose by 15 degrees. His wet leather mittens dried by dawn. His boots stayed warm, and Walter ran his line for 40 winters without any frostbite. This was not some lost secret of one trapper alone in the deep woods. Old loggers in Maine used the same trick inside their cold log bunks. Conservation Corps boys carried tin can candles in the 30s. Finnish ski troops used them inside snow caves during the Winter War. Korean War troops tucked them inside their canvas pup tents. The Army Field Manual from 1944 mentioned the method. One candle inside a small shelter raised the inside by 10 degrees. 3 candles could push it to nearly 40 degrees above outside air. An old Montana guide taught it to every client in the high country. Adirondack hunters used them inside wall tents every November. A pound of paraffin candles cost under $1 in those decades. The method was so common, nobody wrote a whole book about it. It was something you learned from your father or trapping uncle. By the 1970s, propane heaters showed up in stores. By the 1990s, the candle method vanished from books. Something replaced it. Something more profitable. Something packaged. The old method never stopped working. It just stopped being told. A small can of cheap candles became a $400 heater. The heater came with a warning label and a fuel bill every trip, and the candles kept sitting on shelves, waiting to be remembered. This video here is just the surface of what they tried to bury away. I gathered every forgotten survival method into one single resource, all packed inside the complete Forbidden Hunter's Vault collection. Sub-zero heat methods built from simple field logic and cheap items. Deadwood firecraft most modern campers were simply never taught. Invisible camp setups that keep your footprint off the cold woods. Appalachian meat storage methods that still make perfect sense today. Whitetail funnel logic that changes how you read the deep woods. 8 powerful modules inside one place. No fluff and no filler talk. The link sits at the very top of the description below this video. But stay right here with me. The video is just getting started now. Now let me show you why a cheap candle works so well inside a shelter. A single paraffin candle releases around 80 British thermal units. That is the same amount of heat as a small electric hand warmer pack. 3 candles together push out roughly 240 units. That is enough to raise a small 2-man tent by 15 real degrees. Mountain Rescue Aspen tested this back in 1991. 3 candles in a tin can held a snow cave above freezing all night. Outside the cave, the air dropped to -18 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside the cave, the air stayed at 34 degrees the whole night. Finnish Defense Forces ran a similar test with their winter troops. 1 tin can candle inside a small canvas tent prevented frostbite. Compare that to a $200 propane heater on the shelf. That heater eats a $6 fuel canister every cold winter night. Compare that to a $30 pack of chemical hand warmer sleeves. Those warmers go cold by morning and end up tossed into the trash. A $3 pack of cheap paraffin candles outlasts both of them. And it does the job without any fuel canister or refill cost. If you made it this far, you already know more than most campers. Subscribe and share with someone who values real fieldcraft today. And remember, the full vault sits at the top of the description below. Now stay with me. The next part will make you angry at the system. So why does almost nobody in the survival world talk about this trick? Why did this simple candle method disappear from every guidebook? The outdoor heater industry pulls in over 600 million a year. Buddy heaters, propane stoves, fuel canisters, chemical warmer packs. Every one of those products is built on top of one cold problem. A problem $3 of paraffin candles already solves clean. You cannot patent a candle. You cannot trademark a tin of wax. You cannot put a brand sticker on it and charge $200. The whole model depends on campers never finding out the cheap fix. So the old method had to be mocked, pushed aside, quietly buried away. Modern survival channels replaced it with sponsored heater reviews. Old-timers who still used the candles were called cheap and outdated. The method that kept trappers alive through 40 winters was lost, and the heaters on shelves got bigger, shinier, and far more costly. Here is exactly what to do before your next cold weather camping trip. Take one empty soup can or tuna can from your kitchen recycling bin. Buy a cheap pack of 3 paraffin candles from the dollar store. Place the candles upright inside the tin can, about 1 inch apart. Set the can on a flat rock or metal plate inside your shelter floor. Light all 3 candles when the outside air drops below freezing. Crack 1 small vent at the top of your shelter to let air circulate. Never sleep with the candles burning. Snuff them right before bed. Use a clay flower pot turned upside down over the can to spread heat. The clay holds heat for hours after the flames have already gone out. Compare it to a camper hauling a propane heater and 3 fuel cans. That camper still wakes up shivering when his canister runs out cold. The man with the candles wakes up dry, warm, and ready for the day. This knowledge did not die. It only waited to be told once again. It waited inside small kitchens and cold cabins for many decades. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe and share it with a friend. Every share keeps one more buried piece of real fieldcraft alive now. The link to the full vault sits at the top of the description below. The next vault opens soon, and what is buried inside is even heavier.